system engineer, sales engineer, pre-sales engineer, or even solutions engineer. Or in short, SEs are common titles for the particular role in IT. Generally, they're all referring to the same thing. The thing about SE roles are, unlike say a lawyer or accountant or a doctor or any other roles, you can easily find resources to guide you to success, but SE mastery is a bit like an art. Hi, my name is Charles, and today I'll be sharing you some tips for those who are new to systems engineering. A little bit of expectations, maybe common mistakes, and a guide to fast track your early career. I've been fortunate to have led a few different SE organizations in my time, and also myself being an SE for many years. I remember when I first started, I was so overwhelmed and it wasn't easy to get someone to discuss and also to guide me through. It's like I mentioned earlier, it's a bit like a dark art. From the technical knowledge, the business side of things, to whether I should be saying it out loud or should I keep quiet during meetings, and much, much more. Some of the advice I'm going to be giving are also based on discussion points I've had with other SE leaders over the years. So it's not just my point of view, but a consensus of many SE leaders. 3 things that I'll be talking about today will be some expectations of the role, generally what makes a good SE, common mistakes, and maybe what you want to consider doing on your first 30, 60, or 90 day on the job. This is not intended to be a lecture of an hour or so. It's nuggets of information that I've personally seen success with, and it's meant to be concise. You will still need to put in the effort and adapt and be successful in your own individual organizations. It is not a one-size-fits-all. I've also left a whole list of quick timelines here for you to easily jump into different sections and revisit them easily. It doesn't matter if you're fresh out of school type SE or transitioning from a different role to an SE role, these tips should all apply. So let's look at some of the expectations of an SE. I will often classify SEs in general to 2 types, the highly technical SE or the extremely salesy SE. But regardless, it is without a doubt that you need to have the aptitude to pick up technical concepts easily. In fact, you should be also expert in picking up new technology. For me at least, I started off my career as a professional services engineer, and it helped me tremendously in my career as an SE. There are many ways to learn and understand new technologies, and I'm a strong believer that you learn most by actually doing it. So hands-on capability is definitely for me an important skill for any successful SE. Can you be successful as an SE without strong hands-on or actually doing it? Sure, nothing is impossible, right? But having said that, the confidence of having experience or done it before shines through when you have interactions with customers. I'll give you an example. I've seen SEs who understood details through slides and manuals that can easily regurgitate the content. But when someone asks or permutates a question that is off the script, they struggle to answer or adapt. I'm not saying that with hands-on you will pick up difficult questions off the bat, but just because you have done it before, you can speak with conviction and confidence when having discussions and nothing can faze you. I do agree that spending time in labs are tedious and sometimes frustrating, but trust me, it always pays back in folds. Coming back to the discussion of salesy versus technical SEs, like the name suggests, salesy SEs are borderline sales guys with textbook depth of knowledge of the technology, and technical SEs are actually walking manuals for the tech. What we strive to be is to have a good balance of both, which leads me to my next point. I asked my first SE manager when I first started, what would you think is the 3 key principles or role of an SE? His answer to me was, sell, sell, sell. Are you surprised? Did you think you just needed to do technical solutioning and that was it? I mean, some organizations may function differently, but most if not all systems engineers' KPIs are measured against a sales target. So surely, sales performance is key. You need to understand that you are the extension of the sales team. The difference between you and the sales guy is the focus. Sales guys are focused around 70% on the sale and 30% understanding the tech. And for the SEs, 70% on the tech and 30% on the sale. If your expectation is to do 100% technical, then SE roles are not for you. 100% technical roles are generally professional services consultants. Hence, SEs are often also known as pre-sales, and services consultants are known as post-sales. Circling back, given that you're constantly sharpening your skills on the technical side, it is very, very important that you know how to sell as well. When I say that, I'm talking to the tone of strategic positioning, how to fulfill the requirements and yet still set yourself up for the next opportunity, or fend off competition, or to lock a competition, right? It is also talking to the tone of who are the technical stakeholders, influencers, decision makers. These are all the salesy side that makes an SE a valuable asset. You know you have attained mastery when you can be the trusted advisor to your customer and at the same time balance the objectives of the sales organization. Balance is key. Salesy or technical SEs are good, but balance between two is what makes a strong SE. Remember, work on building the sales skill set because as SEs, I know you guys are already knee-deep with technical knowledge. Let's look at some of the common mistakes or misconceptions of being an SE. I've seen technical guys so passionate about their craft, works hard, puts in the time building a bulletproof solution and over-engineers a solution. Much of the justification is, of course, to gain the trusted advisor status with the customer. Sure, there is no wrong in it, it's absolutely fine. And many a time, the customers are often appreciative and ends up spending more with you. But having said that, I've also seen the complete opposite happen. You size for a Ferrari when all they ever need is a Toyota. Of course, who wouldn't like a Ferrari, right? But the customer may only have budget for a Toyota. But my advice is, as much as we want to do what's best for the customer, make sure to do what's best for the company that is also paying your salary. At the end, do remember, you are part of the sales organization and we don't work for free. Balance. When you start out, there seems to be so much that you need to learn and understand, and sometimes it can feel very overwhelming. You must be thinking, how am I going to get all this up to speed with? Here's a piece of advice for you. Time is your friend. Don't worry about learning it all in 90 days or 100 days or whatever it is. If you can do that, that's great. But if you can't, it is not the end of the world. I've mentioned earlier, the aptitude to pick up new technology is essential with SEs. You need to be abreast of net new tech all the time anyway. So while knowing deep is great, you are better off knowing wide. As an SE, it is not expected that you know every single nut and bolt. Do not be confused, you are not an implementation guy. You are not expected to draft a 400-page implementation document. Your role is really solutioning and selling, remember? That's what SEs do. As a new SE, my recommendation is to absorb as much as you can to start. Be a generalist. Learn to build your own storyline. Every solution has a standard corporate messaging of its value proposition. I challenge you to build your own narrative. You can reference the standard messaging, but if you can custom and tailor the story to your own region, patch, or coverage, you will always sound more convincing because you wrote that narrative. A side plus to building your own storyline also means you know exactly what you wanted to say and why you said it. It is also not unusual that SE leaders will provide you a 30, 60, 90-day plan as you start off. I know I mentioned it earlier as well, but here's the kicker. I don't really subscribe to the concept of 30, 60 and 90. It is nice to have a process, but truthfully I believe that as long as we pace ourselves and not be overwhelmed, we can do a lot of this stuff concurrently. So here are my suggestions for you guys who are starting out a new role. When you start, like all jobs, find your footing in the organization. Of course, know your organizational charts, business units, and the likes. Also, very important to understand, identify the individuals that can help you with technical queries or sales queries if you need them. Not everyone is friendly, so identifying these individuals early on will expedite your onboarding process. Play the I'm new card. This is the only time in your career where you can be incompetent and ask stupid questions. Ask as many silly questions as you want and can. Nobody can fault you. I tell all my new hires the same thing. Because 6 months in, you're no longer a newbie and asking silly questions then will make you look incompetent instead of being new. This is also a good time to indulge in training and knowledge transfers. Use this as an excuse to score external trainings, product trainings, whatever trainings you can get your hands on. Usually, the early part of your employment, you are often not as busy, so this is a good time to skill up. Zero distraction from the day-to-day grind. Bookmarking resources. Every SEs I've ever known and worked with will have a carefully curated bookmark of all resources and links within the organization to useful resources. Most are willing to dump you their bookmarks. Get a friendly SE and get them to share their bookmarks. Saves you a ton of time, like literally a ton, on finding information that you need internally. I also usually take this opportunity to get SEs to share their work folders with me. SEs will have a full catalog of past proposals, presentation slides, customer details, and etc. that may be not something that you find on the internet. But just be mindful, not all of them are friendly, hence the initial part of knowing your way around the organization is extremely important. Never wait for anyone to give you an opportunity to learn. I say newbies wait for sales team or others to activate them before going into the field. My recommendation is go seek out meetings and score yourself a tag along. Be bold and ask, hey, do you have a meeting coming up that I can tag along to learn how you guys pitch the solution, so on and so forth. Given that I am new, play the I'm new card again. Nothing expedites learning the narrative or tag than real world experience. There are no risk involved here, right? Because it's a tag along. Once you're comfortable, you can slowly ask if you could do parts of the presentation or the sales call. Don't be afraid to fail. Get out there, make the mistakes. I'm a fan of learning from mistakes, as cliche as it may sound. But you know the thing about making mistakes? The bigger the mistakes, the more unlikely it will ever happen again. Because you'll remember it for a long, long time. So I'm a big advocate for it. That's the few tips I have for you guys who are starting out as systems engineers. In my opinion, it's a very rewarding career and full of excitement and challenges. I hope this has been helpful and I would love to hear your thoughts on the subject as well. Do leave me some comments. As always, if you enjoy the content, do subscribe. Thanks for watching and see you guys again soon.